Hey everybody, it's Adam Dye, amateur radio call sign N4NT, here for another edition of Racing, Wrestling, and Radios podcast. And as you can see behind me and on my shirt here, I've got a little bit of branding going on. If you're interested in shirts, there's a couple other items that we've added on there that has the podcast branding logo on it. I have a shop set up with Cafe Press. I'll put a link to that on my website, and you can go and purchase shirts. I do have two versions of that. I have one that has my call sign N4NT on it, but I realize other hams may not want another ham's call sign on their shirt, so I have one that has that left off of it. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to personalize each individual call sign and have that available. But I do have the blank ones. If you like the podcast and you'd like a T-shirt or a polo shirt or anything like that, then that definitely helps us out if you order that. So today's topic is going to be funny call signs. I put out on our Facebook page here a while back a request for some funny call signs that anybody may be aware of, and also did some research and found some of those. By the way, please like and subscribe on our channel. That helps us out a lot. So these call signs, the main rule is that these call signs have to be verifiable in some way. Most of these I did go to qrz.com and verify that call sign was in there at one point. There may be one or two that are expired, but they have to somehow be verifiable, and that's the most typical way. Just a reminder, though, that QRZ downloads from the FCC database, and it is not the FCC database. So if you run across someone that has dropped the AG from their call sign or the AE from their call sign, and QRZ doesn't reflect that upgrade yet, before you say anything or whatever, go to the FCC website first, because it may be in there, and that may be why they've dropped that suffix or whatever. So just a real quick note. There are some call signs that the FCC will absolutely not issue for no reason, for any reason, I should say, whatsoever. And here's a kind of a list of that. Some of it I find kind of interesting as to why or what they don't issue up there at the top, but also looking at that second line, anything having the letters SOS or the Q codes that we use, QRA through QUZ as the suffix. Any call sign having the letters AM through AZ as the prefix, because these are assigned to other countries. This one I didn't know until I was doing research for this video, but any 2x3 format call sign having the letter X as the first letter of the suffix. I've actually got a friend who has a single letter prefix call sign, and the first letter is X. So I had to do a double take on that when I read that and see it was a 2x3 format. And any 2x3 format call sign having letters AF, KF, NF, or WF as the prefix. And I'm not sure why that is exactly. Maybe it spells it out here. It says in the letters EMA as a suffix. Okay, so it's U.S. government FEMA station, so that's why they do that. I initially read the EMA and then the FEMA thing, but I guess the prefix as well. And here's some other toward the bottom call sign formats that they will not issue for some whatever reason. Some of these suffix of these call signs, it really shocked me that not only will they issue these, but at some point in life these things were issued as a regular sequential call sign. So we're going to go through a few of these. The intent of this video is to look at some of this and just have a little bit of fun, get a few laughs out of it. Not ridicule the individual that has the call sign. Most of these folks that have these call signs have some kind of, they've acknowledged that, hey, this is a funny call sign, and some of them asked for it. So what we're going to look at is the call sign itself, and then if there's anything in their QRZ bio that to where they acknowledge the call sign, and then is it a vanity call sign or is it an original call sign? So the first one we're going to look at here, and these are in no certain order, but I did put some of the really good ones toward the end. This is a really good one, so I figured I'd start out with it. NU5DE. Now, not every one of these call signs am I going to acknowledge exactly what it says. I'll let you look at the screen and speak for itself. If you've got younger viewers, you may even though I won't call out exactly what it is, they may be getting toward the age where they're smart enough to figure it out for themselves. If you don't want them to see some of it, because it does spell some expletives and make some innuendos and that kind of thing, then you may want to pause the video and have them go to another room or something like that. So this one here, of course, is because of the word nude contained in it around the 5, and it belongs to the Naturist Amateur Radio Club. And I've read their bio. They have a website and everything. You can go look for yourself as to what they do and why they have taken this call sign. And of course, it is a vanity call sign. This one right here, I got a really good kick out of it, is K-Booty, KB0OTY. Those zero calls sometimes are really fun to be able to spell stuff with. Like I have a friend who is a silent key now. His last name was Otis, and he took the call sign K0TIS to spell Otis in his call sign, which I thought was pretty cool. This one right here, of course, is pretty funny when you look at it. He's got on his QRZ page, he's got a picture of a backpack and it's got his call sign on it and everything. So he seems to display it proudly, but I didn't see a complete direct acknowledgement of the call sign itself, other than he just says, "Guys, I'm not doing postcards anymore. It's a lot of work, man." I would imagine that a call sign like that maybe a lot of folks put in for a QSL card for that. And of course, that call sign is vanity. I'll give you a little bit of hesitation before I bring those up. That way, if you're watching this with friends and you want to play a game or anything like that to try to guess, is this vanity or is it original? It might be a lot of fun for you. And then this next call sign, W0MB, spells the word womb, which is pretty funny. No direct acknowledgement on his or her, I can't remember which one, QRZ page. And this call sign is the vanity call sign. The next one we'll look at, A-bomb. AB0MB spells A-bomb. That's pretty cool. Some of these can be pretty memorable, especially when you're trying to work some DX stations. Some foreign countries, though, a lot of these expressions or words that these things spell may not mean the exact same thing, or anything for that matter, to these folks. Nothing, no direct acknowledgement of this one in the QRZ, and that is a vanity. I like this one. You take out the number and it's no RF. Sometimes we all struggle with that problem. No direct acknowledgement. However, it is a vanity call sign. So it's probably, the person probably had that in mind of what it's going to sound like when they applied for the call sign. And this one here spells no. Originally, I was reading way too much into this, and I was like, why is it K now? It's no when you think about it. And he says, KN0W is not a vanity call. It's my original FCC issued extra class call, which means that probably came from way back. So kudos to you, sir. And of course, he answered the question there. That is an original call, but still, it's pretty cool. You end up with something like that. It's pretty memorable. Norm. Every time when I saw this one, I was picturing the part on Cheers where Norm walks through the door and everybody's like, Norm. No direct acknowledgement. However, I thought this one was original, but it is a vanity call sign. Not a big surprise there, though, when you think about it, because of how, if you've seen my previous video about the vanity call sign applications, how hard it is to come by these 4 characters. I call them call signs. It's 3 letters and a number and some combination. And there's a lot of competition, even now, where you have to pay to apply. This one right here, there's multiples of this. I have a friend who has a WTF suffix for a call sign. Those were issued long before WTF became a thing with texting and whatever. But now some folks may get them new for the fun of it. Some folks may just have them because that's what they got, and then it became a thing afterwards. This one in particular, K4WTF, is a vanity call sign, so they did that on purpose. That answers that question, of course. That is in their comments on their QRZ page. It says, yes, it is a vanity call. That middle section that you see there is typically a direct quote. There's 1 or 2 where I may have just typed something in myself as a note to remember, but otherwise, if I don't mention, it's just a direct quote from their QRZ page. W6BBQ, nothing like a good barbecue. No direct mention. However, they picked it on purpose. It is a vanity call, probably into barbecuing or something like that. Just didn't fill out their QRZ page. I didn't go looking. I acknowledge that there are other ham call websites and things out there. ARRL, I think the last time I looked, I really don't mess with theirs, but I think they let you fill out a little bit of a profile. Buckmaster, some of the others, I have filled them out over the years and just haven't kept them up to date other than QRZ. But they'll let you put a little more information in there other than just checking boxes. All right, this next one, WOMP, W0MP. Nothing in the acknowledgement as far as the call sign goes, saying anything about it spelling that or sounding like that, but it is a vanity call sign. Again, not very unusual for these short call signs. It's sometimes a take what you can get. Before I became N4NT, I probably applied for 8 or 10 of those call signs, some of which I'm actually going to be featuring on here before I actually landed on N4NT. I like it. It's a short CW call sign. This one right here is from New Zealand, VK7MHZ. And he says in his bio, I built my first crystal set at the age of 12 and have been a radio enthusiast ever since. So that's a fitting call sign for that individual. I'm going to put a question mark down here. I didn't take the time to go and figure out how each country issues call signs. I'm speculating that this country probably lets you do the vanity thing at some point, or if not, right off the bat. When you apply for a call sign, they may even ask, what do you want? And if it's available, they may give it to you as long as it's formatted correctly. This next one's pretty cool. K9DOG. No direct acknowledgement in the QRZ. However, his main profile pic, the thumbnail pic, whatever you want to call it, is a picture of a dog. And that is a vanity call sign. I thought that would be well suited for someone that was like a canine police officer or something like that. No indication of that on this one's QRZ. Now we're going to get into a few of those that I kind of warned you about at the beginning. K4SEX needs no explanation. And this person says, first, I will answer the question that is most asked. K4SEX is not a vanity call sign. It was originally assigned to Bill Gramillion as a sequentially issued FCC call sign in the 1950s. Easier for me to say. Here's the part I thought was funniest about all this. His wife was none too happy about it being his call sign, and ultimately he had to change it. The K4SEX call sign does not get much airtime these days, but we do keep it as a fun reminder of the legacy of Bill. K4SEX currently holds the position of our special event club call sign for the Bill Gramillion Memorial Radio Club in Noonan, Georgia. So that might be one to pay attention to catch it on the air just for the because of the special event. And of course, they answered the question within this bio that this is a technically a vanity call sign, but they took the call sign of a sounds like a silent key member. So it was what once was a originally issued call sign. They didn't come by it just for the pure humor of having the SEX suffix. Easy for me to say. And then, of course, the answer to that one, N0 SEX, or no. Yeah. Nothing in the bio. And this is a vanity call sign, though. So I guess they didn't put anything in the bio because the call sign speaks for itself. I kind of regard this as like a episode of the headlines on the old Jay Leno show. OK to pay. Oscar Kilo 2, Papa Alpha Yankee. No acknowledgement in the QRZ, and of course, this being a foreign country call sign, I'm not sure if he had to get issued an original and then pick this one, or if it's a vanity at all. It may just be a normal sequential call sign that they just got lucky and landed on, and may not mean exactly to them what it does to us, but a very memorable call sign, somewhat humorous as well. And this one right here, I'll let it speak for itself. N4ANL. This one was sent to me by suggestion. Also, well, I'll give that one just a second here. No acknowledgement, and this is an original call sign. I think they're an N2 version of this might be pretty humorous as well. I might even have it on the list down the road here. I can't remember. This one, take the K off the front there. See what they're going for on this one. And this was probably one of the most humorous. I could have even saved this one for last. His QRZ bio at the beginning in nice big letters says penetrating the airwaves since 2017. And this is even better. I like to think of myself as durable, portable, hardy, and capable of operating anywhere. Just got to keep the batteries charged. And it doesn't end there. This may not exactly be directed at the call sign, but I can have a pretty warped mind sometimes, so I kind of thought it was. I like the big lenses, good old-fashioned mechanical keyboards, V antennas, and being able to manage quick EQSOs whenever I can. I think we all know this is a vanity call sign, although there is some possibility that it could have been sequential because it is a 2x3. But some folks go for the 2x3s as a vanity just to get something that matches a career or whatever this guy was trying to match here. But obviously his QRZ bio is full of his sense of humor about the call sign, so I don't think he would have any qualms with us enjoying this in a YouTube video. This one was kind of neat. No RPM, N0 RPM. Nothing mentioned in the bio. This one was sent to me though, and I thought it was, especially being a car guy like I am, I thought it was pretty funny, pretty cool. And it is an original sequential issued call sign. WA5TED, which if you can kind of liken this to those personalized license plate, like when the S isn't available and they substitute a 5, so this one would spell wasted. However, he says, while my call is memorable for its misinterpretation, the more so by its being random luck with the call sign assignment process in the mid-60s. He did, this person I read further in their bio, this is a Silent Key Friends call sign, so this is a vanity. However, pulling a friend's call sign, that was a sequential issued call sign to the friend, to the acquaintance or whatever, and then eventually this person took that call sign. So vanity for him, but it was picked through randomness originally. And this one here got issued COVID, K0VID. No acknowledgement in the bio, however, drum roll. It is a vanity call sign, so it looks like they may have deliberately picked that for what it says, of course. I mean, how could you not know? There's no acknowledgement in but there is some bio information for this person, but they didn't say anything about the call sign, just letting it speak for itself. Now this one, it took me just a minute. I don't know if you ever saw that game show years ago, us Gen X and a little bit older folks, where they had, there was a game show where they would put up these combination of numbers and letters that would be on the license plate, and you'd had to guess kind of what they were trying to say. Well, that's what I had right here. I was like, okay, somebody sent this to me, but it didn't get an exact explanation, so I went ahead and looked it up on QRZ, and there was nothing in the bio about it, but then I realized it's wait, what? So that's pretty cool. And it is a vanity call sign. Here's another one of those innuendo call signs, K0TEX. There's no acknowledgement in the bio on that one, and it is a vanity call sign. So they've picked it on purpose. However, not knowing the person, not being able to read any kind of bio, we could make a couple assumptions that one, they meant it to be exactly what you're reading on the screen, or two, maybe they're from Texas originally and they moved to Zero Land and just didn't really think about it. Didn't want to be no Tex with an N, so they were proud of where they were from. This next one here, no bra. I was so hoping when I plugged into QRZ that I would see some kind of acknowledgement. However, there wasn't. I was pleased to find out that someone picked this on purpose. It is a vanity call sign. And as if going around with no bra, I mean, you can kind of help that. You can always put one on, but you can't fix this one. Oh, and I was so disappointed to find out nothing in the bio. Nothing in the bio. That's okay. Sometimes you just don't have to. Sometimes it just speaks for itself because it is a vanity call sign. And there's no looking at that and not seeing it. You know what I'm saying? There's like this, the last one, okay, maybe. Might be, or the one before, you could be a little naive to, but this one, I don't care if you have been a pastor since you were of a church since you were 6 years old, you would not be so naive to not be able to to read what that says. Again, not making fun of the person or anything like that. It's just it's a vanity. They picked it, so it probably was picked for a reason. This one here, you got to take out the number and the first letter to really get where they're going with this one. This is an expired call sign, so I apologize if the person is expired because they're deceased. Definitely not trying to make fun of the individual, just having some fun with the call sign. However, it was an original, so the FCC handed this one out. However many years ago, the KF5s were being handed out. Sorry about that. I made that one twice. All right, the next one, pretty cool. Kentucky, right? Yeah. KY for fun. Probably relates back to a couple of those other call signs that we just looked at. One of the best bios I've seen. Very short, simple, and to the point. Insert witty text here. And it is a 2x3 call sign. However, I know from being from Foreland and being a VE that we're not, I don't think, quite up to those yet. So that's a vanity call sign. They went fast forward on the sequential call signs and went ahead and took that one, or somebody else grabbed it. I'm going to do a 2-for-1 special on this next one. K4FU and K4FO. K4FU came available in 2012. I remember because that was one of the very first short call signs that I applied for myself. I put in for this one and lost. And just the way my sense of humor was, especially back then, maybe still is a little bit, I just thought that would be great. However, after reading the bio, I was kind of glad I didn't get it because he was a late friend of the individual who has that call now. So kudos to the gentleman that got it. There isn't any kind of over acknowledgement of either one of those call signs in their bios, other than I think K4FU has in his bio. Of course, he names his son and everything, so I kind of chopped this in the middle. It says, have a great time at Dayton almost every year for decades, most recently taking much razzing over our calls as K4FU and K4FO. This is father and son. It says, we love them. So it looks like they're having a lot of fun. Of course, both of those call signs are vanities. Now these, I'm going to put two together on these next ones, but they're not related in any way. I'm just killing two birds with one stone. N1, pretty much self-explanatory. And then N2, of course, you're N2. Yeah. I don't have to go too far with that one. N1 actually has a ham license plate. There's a pic on the bio, and it's from my state, from Tennessee. Tennessee let them have the license plate. I guess when it's printed on a amateur radio call sign license, that probably knocks out some of the scrutiny. And of course, it is also 2026. N2 has nothing in their bio, and both of these call signs are vanity call signs. So we got a couple more to go here, and we'll finish up. N4, same thing. I didn't, throughout this, make a habit of trying to find a bunch of call signs with the same suffix, but I thought the N1 and N2 had their own kind of special meaning by themselves without any explanation. But N4, the reason I picked his as I was doing all this research is because he did acknowledge it in his bio, and he says, yes, I requested that vanity call sign. He goes on to say, can we move on now? That's the first couple sentences in his QRZ bio. And of course, he's already explained the fact that this is a vanity call sign. And that's what we've got so far. I think we had roughly 30 or so call signs. I hope you enjoyed this video and got a kick out of it. It's meant to be humorous. If you would, any that we didn't cover that you know of, again, the only rule is it needs to be a real verifiable call sign. Doesn't matter what country or anything like that, but any, I know there's several I can think of off the top of my head that I didn't cover. I just had to cut it off at some point. But if you know of any call signs like that we could compile a list of and maybe do a volume 2 of this and some humorous call signs, drop them in the comments, send me an email, go on my Facebook page, wherever, and I will gather all this info. And maybe a few months from now or sooner, we will do another video and compile all these just for the fun of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you would like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. Until next time, this is Adam Dye, amateur radio call sign N4NT, saying 7-3.